Spent a couple of hours this afternoon getting rid of those black streaks and a few other rust stains, so the top sides are looking pretty respectable now. It's Saturday the 21st of May. Just an update, I had to move camp, so I've moved out of the Hotel de Kroon because they're booked out and taken up some mini camping. So this is my new donga for the week. It's not bad actually. It's got some basic furniture in it, little porch outside, a table, even got a barbecue and a couple of chairs. The mainsail you can see here is a carbon Kevlar Millennium mainsail built by Wittrongle Sails in Belgium. Ian Wittrongle built it for Michelle Clenyons, who did the 2008-2009 Portimao Global Ocean Race in Roaring 40. So those ugly rust stains, which have been there for quite some time, are from corroded screws like that. To match the mainsail, this is the Solent. It's got a reefable foot, so it'll reef down to the next sail, which I believe it'll probably be about a J2, maybe a J3, and then on an inner stay I've got another reefable foot carbon Kevlar headsail, and that's probably a 3-4 or maybe even a 4-5. Good afternoon, 22nd of May, and today has been on the spare mainsail, which is a cruise laminate main. I've been fitting the new batten boxes to that. Apparently it's only done one trip across the Med when Michelle blew up a mainsail, so it's pretty damn good. Very happy. It's just a metre shorter on the luff. So one of the problems I had, because the boat's been sitting for about 2.5 years and hasn't been used, is the rudder bearing started to seize up. So this is what a seized up rudder bearing sounds like. Not good. So that's the actual rudder stock. It's carbon tube, and then there's the carbon tiller, which goes over the top of here and is held in by the big stick and bolt. And the next step after we put the chisel in is to open it up a little bit, and then we should be able to jiggle it and off it comes. So that's, my friends, is basically solid fiberglass, not light. Now we're going to get into the actual rudder bearing itself, and we'll have a look at that. Who doesn't love a good investigation? The mystery of the rudder bearings continues. So what I've done so far is I've spoken to Michelle Clenyons, the previous owner, or one of the previous owners, who put me on to Hans Plus, the guy that commissioned the boat in the first place, and I hadn't heard back from Hans yet. But speaking to Michelle, he thinks that possibly they were German designed and made in Malaysia, and possibly taken over by DK Yachts. So they're still in existence, and they're one of the largest composite manufacturers in Malaysia. So that's a good news. I've spoken to both I've sent out messages to the boat builder in Estonia, and I've got a response back. He thought it was a Jeffer bearing. I reached out to Jeffer, they said no, not a Jeffer bearing, but come back if you need one. The JP3 guys said we're not sure until we get some, get it out of the boat and have a look. And I'm not keen to take it out of the boat because I know it's still serviceable. It just needs servicing. So I'm not about to destroy it just so that they can say no, it's not a JP3 bearing. So we're just waiting on Hans to get back to me. But in the meantime, I've been looking for some V-ring seals, they're called, because it's the only seal that's buggered at the moment is the top one, and that's the one that lets all the crap in off the deck. and it's a V lip seal, so let's quickly have a look at it. So this is the carrier, and it's got a, there we go, it's got a little groove in it and a recess on the inside. You can see there's an O-ring there. Well, this is the wiper seal. You can see, if you look at it that way, that's sitting down on the deck. Right, so that would be sitting that way. And this section here wipes against the top of the bearing. So what happens, if you look at that from a side-on view, that's called a V-ring seal, and so that sits into the housing. And this one had a little bit of Sikaflex or silicone holding it in there, just as a bit of a extra security, I suppose, and stretched over, and Bob's your uncle. And then it just presses back onto the shaft, replace the O-ring, and I'll have a deck seal. Well, that's the way in, and that's the watertight hatch on the watertight bulkhead, which keeps the rudder separated from the rest of the boat in case I have a failure of the rudder bearing or lose my rudder by hitting something, and creates a damn great big hole. This case here is a daggerboard tube. There's one port and starboard side for going upwind. Here's the side of the hull. Then we've got some bulkheads, a couple of autopilot drives, one on starboard side and one on port side. So I hook those up to the NKE and Raymarine systems, so I've got two independent and redundant systems. Well, after about an hour, I finally got this seal carrier up. That's the sealing surface on the rudder stock. There's an O-ring that rides on that, and then there's a seal here. That lip bears down onto here, and in there is the bearing. So the last line of defence is this rubber seal. It's a big gaiter that goes around the base of the lower bearing and attaches to the rudder stock. So as you can see, it's quite cramped, and you want to make sure all of this gear works before you go to sea, because I certainly don't want to be mucking around in here at sea. Ciao. That's the where I just came from. That's the watertight bulkhead with the hatch. My little buddy, there's a dog pet bean bag that comes in very handy. You can lay it over each side of a ridge like that, and takes the pain out of lying on a sharp edge. And now we're coming out of the second hatch. And that's the second watertight bulkhead. That's the starboard side engine box, and we've got one on the starboard, the port side as well. Don't forget, Aviator Ocean Racing and the Roaring 40 Global Solo Challenge campaign is supporting Brain Tumour Alliance Australia and Soldier On. Jump onto the Facebook page, follow the links or the web page, and please donate. You'll see there's a couple of fundraising pages set up. All the funds go to those charities through those sites, and they can just draw off them as they need them. There's two set up there under Rogue Wave, my Sigma 36. That's predominantly because we're scheduled to do the Sydney Hobart again, and as long as Daz is up for the money, we're back on for the double-handed. If not, we're going fully crewed. So that's the reason why it's still focusing on the Sydney Hobart. As soon as the Sydney Hobart's over, I'll change those pages to the Global Solo Challenge, so that we can get as much coverage for those organisations as possible. So thank you very much for your support so far, and everyone that's donated. We raised about $4,000 at the last Sydney Hobart overall, so very happy with that. So please dig deep and help out. Thank you.